You're talking to Joe Cron.
He was with the GOP.
That's right.
Yellow shirt.
Yellow
Yeah,
shirt.
okay.
Didn't see him in there.
Are we okay to get started? Does Deb need to be here?
I seen him.
Okay.
Seen him go to the thing. I didn't know he was in the.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the September meeting of the Morgan County Council for September 13th, 2023. If you'll stand, I'm going to have Troy Sprinkle lead us in the pledge, and then Vicki will lead us in prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we stand before you and give you thanks for the bounty of the harvest that we are about to receive through the farmers and the crops. We just pray that on post 9/11, 9/11, that we always remember what happened on that day, dear Lord, and that we do appreciate our freedoms. We ask for healing for those that are sick and hurt. We ask for safety for those who serve in the area of public service and safety. And dear Lord, we just ask that you be with each of us in our daily lives. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Vicki. Sorry for the confusion on the meeting this month. I think some of you showed up here, Debbie, on the first. But we had the holiday in there and then some scheduling, so we had to move our date around. So thank you all for being here. Did everyone have a chance to review the August 7th meeting minutes? Do you have any questions or changes on those? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the August 7th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Melissa Green will move to approve those minutes.
Thank you, Melissa.
Troy Sprinkle, second.
Thank you, Troy. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And let the record show all county council members are present this evening. All right, it looks like first up, and she's eager because she's got another meeting in the next room.
Yeah, if you guys get done here and you want to come join us over there, we have a lot of fun. So.
Thank you. So we have soil and water
Yes,
and years of service, additional appropriation.
yes. So this appropriation is due to mostly me being a little green last year when I submitted budget. I knew I needed to submit years of service, and I just added that in with the request for the annual salary. And I didn't know that there should be a line item created for that. And we didn't discover it until after the budget was submitted for this year. So Dan helped me get it corrected last year, and then we created a new line item for that this year. So for next year, it's been submitted correctly. But this year, I've been notified by the auditor's office that our budget will fall short $300 for my longevity.
Okay. And we have that sometimes. And you've corrected that going forward in your
Yeah.
2024 budget, I assume?
Yep.
All right. So any questions or comments in regard to that?
Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we appropriate $300 into Fund 1000.198.00, 0750 years of service, soil and water.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, same thing. Yeah, if you would, that'd be great. And I think Linda's going to have an additional amount. Your next one is the auditor for $1,050 on years of service as well.
Last year, after the budget was prepared, we hired an employee who transferred from the dispatch center. So we just need to include his years of service in the auditor's budget.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the $1,050.
Melissa Green will make the motion to approve $1,050 for years of service for the auditor's office as an additional appropriation.
Thank you, Melissa.
Jason Maxwell seconds.
Jason, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Linda. Now, I think, Josh, are you going to talk to us about the contractual services, the solid waste district?
Yes.
That had originally been a total of $111,770.72, and I think Josh is going to explain that's been reduced.
Yes, Eric was not able to be here tonight. I know you guys like to have your department heads, but he had some other obligations. You've probably heard that we've canceled at the end of this month. We're pulling our bins because of so many issues we're having at these recycling sites. So in talking with Eric today, we don't need as much as we initially had because we're not going to carry on through the end of the year. So he would like to reduce that to 40,000 instead of 111, and that should be able to bridge our gaps between the invoices, and we'll keep trailing in.
Perfect. Anyone have any questions on that?
Stop the bleeding.
Yes, exactly. Some of that stuff that's left out there looks like it's been bled on. It's terrible. All right, I look for a motion to approve.
Chip Keller will make the motion to appropriate an additional 40,000 to
Thank you, Chip. We have a motion,
Troy Sprinkle, second.
and we have a second by Troy Sprinkle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, so motion carries 6 to 1 abstention. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to, looks like years of service is the topic of the evening. So we have Lit Economic Development Fund, County Highway, years of service. Hello.
Hello. This is an employee we had transferred from the Sheriff's Department, so it is in the 2024 budget, though.
So it has been updated on the 2024 budget? Okay, perfect. So again, with people transferring, and how will that work? Because if that was in the sheriff's budget for the years of service, does that then roll back to the general fund, or how does that? Okay, all right.
We unspent at the end of the year.
Yeah, so where we're seeing these additionals, we'll see unspent in the other department that they came from. So
Very good.
it's not really a total additional. All right, anyone have any questions on that situation? So it's a $3,000 request for years of service for the county highway. Look for a motion.
I'll move to approve $3,000 for years of service for county highway.
Thank you, Jason.
Vicky Kivett will second that.
And Vicky, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7 to 0. All right, and County Clerk? Hello.
I'm going to be a little bit longer than the rest.
Tip your mic down a little bit, Tammy.
The reason I'm here is I came up with the new building's going to be here in June of '25. I have several files, old files, that need to be scanned and I didn't want to bring those files to here. So that then led me to contact a couple scanning companies. Contacted them, got estimates. My employees came to me and said, I'll work overtime if get it approved. So there's where I came to Dan and Linda and said, how do we do this? They then said, okay, we can take it out of the perpetuation fund that you have. So I guess that's my request, is to be able to
And I want to applaud you.
either go to scanning. You guys just need to let me know if you want me to hire the professional company or.
Well, and I think it's worth a mention too. You had gotten quotes on the professional work, and it was going to
did.
be, I forget the
Yes.
amounts, but they were very large
Large,
sums.
yes.
So we applaud you for
I
saving
think
the
that
taxpayers'
between this
dollars.
year and next year, we should be able to get all of the files scanned in that we have to get scanned in, so.
Would
We
they
don't have
have-
to bring those files over.
Would they have came on site and scanned or take your records
They,
away?
they take the records.
Thought I thought.
It's quite a bit more if they stayed here. So my option was for them to take the files.
I think it's a good move on your part.
Mm-hmm.
To get them scanned and a lot less storage that way.
Yep.
Is the amount proposed here what you would need to spend this year?
Yes.
And then there's more that's been placed in the budget for next year to finish?
Yeah, I think that was, Linda was telling me that then if this is the option that you guys want me to go with, it's already in the budget for next year to be taken out of the perpetuation fund.
Okay, so this would get it started this year so that you
Yes.
can finish it? Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Vicky Kivett makes a motion that we appropriate $34,496 from, into the clerk's records perpetuation fund.
Brian Colt will second that.
Thank you, Brian. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries 7-0. And then, you might as well stay there. You're up
Yeah,
next
I'm up
again.
Again.
right.
I am asking for additional funds for iPads. Stephanie purchased these iPads. They're pull pads when you come in to sign in when you vote. That's what those are. She purchased them in 2016, and they are out of date. And they're telling me that I won't be able to use them next year. So I have to purchase new ones. They can't guarantee that this price will be the same next year as it is this year. So that's my request, is to get the $25,000.
Okay, we have a request of $25,000 even for iPads for election.
What kind of guarantee comes with those?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, they will,
There's a warranty,
there's a warranty with them.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Do you have an estimate or thought on how long these will last? How
Well,
long
the
did
other ones
last
were
one
from
last?
2016, so they were
Okay.
7 years.
7 years.
And, you know, we updated them as much as we can update them, so.
My only suggestion was make the purchase as far near the end of the year as possible, so if you get into that warranty work and all, you're buying yourself a few months.
Okay, sure.
I had a little run-in with that one time.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Chip Keller will make the motion to approve 25,000 for the new iPads.
Thank you, Chip. We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay. Community Fund, hello.
Hey, good evening. I am here to talk about how the local coordinating council distributed the drug-free community funds for the year. I can go through the numbers, but basically it's 4 different categories. 25% goes to administration for McSack. The other 3 are prevention, education, and treatment categories. If there's any questions about the fund, I can gladly answer any questions. Otherwise, the total is $37,104.87 to be distributed.
And do you just need approval
Yes.
for the distribution?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the countermeasure fees that are collected to the county that are redistributed.
Right. So we have a total of $37,104.87. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the distribution of $37,104.87 to the drug-free community funds that are listed.
Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we approve.
Thank you, Vicki. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Melissa Green will second.
Melissa, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Okay, then we have the opioid restricted fund. Is that?
Who talks on that? Josh?
So a few months ago, Kendrick Foundation Stability First, I think MSAC, a few other organizations applied for a joint grant, and they needed some matching dollars from the opioid funds from communities. So Mooresville participated, Martinsville participated, we participated. At the time, we didn't realize it was an appropriated grant fund. We have since realized that. So we've already paid them, we've already approved it in the commissioners meeting, but we need to ask for a formal appropriation from you all from the opioid settlement fund. And that is restricted dollars that have to be spent on things of this nature.
Yes. Do we have questions on that?
Yeah, we got our first disbursement just a few months ago. Is this the year that we got the disbursement, right?
I think it came in, was it this year or late last year?
I think we received a little bit, maybe late in the year last year, but we have received.
This year.
Then do you have any of the other money earmarked for anything else yet?
No, that is a process we will start shortly. Sorry, I take that back. At budget time, you guys earmarked some money for the RSAP program.
Yes, yes.
But beyond that, we hope to start
Okay.
that planning process with community stakeholders soon.
Okay.
It looks like there's like 443,000 at that fund, and next year we've budgeted 87,000, so there's sufficient funds there.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve that appropriation then.
Thank you, Chip. We have a,
Maxwell seconds.
thank you, Jason. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Josh.
And I can cover the next one. Commissioner Hale couldn't be here tonight, but these are just some transfers to clean up their parks budget.
My favorite part.
That's right. That's much easier to transfer. They're always doing work up there. He needs some more supplies. That's part of it. And then the increase in their workers' comp, I think, is the other part of it. So he asked if you guys would consider that this evening.
Okay, so we have, see if I can follow these. Okay, from contractual services, we'll do these one at a time. Contractual services, a request of $12,000 moved from contractual services to supplies, repair, and maintenance. Look for a motion to,
Chip Keller will make the motion to approve that transfer.
Chip?
Melissa Green will second.
Thank you, Melissa. We have a motion and a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We'll move to the next one, which is a request of $1,350 from contractual service to the Workers' Compensation Fund.
Troy Sprinkle make the motion to approve that.
Brian Copel, second.
Thank you. Troy Sprinkle and Brian Culp. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0 on that as well.
Thank you.
And then we have some, looks like some transfers on the bridge fund.
So we were able to cover everything else laterally, but this is what was left over. The 2023 salary ordinance didn't match the budget. So bridge repair supply, we think it's late enough in the year. I feel good about pulling it from there as a transfer.
From bridge supply.
Was this the positions that were changed around and things that resulted in the salary ordinance being, okay, all right. I was just trying to get my head around it.
There was a lot, yeah, going on, the change was.
And then the group insurance, what's that large sum for? The $25,218, do you know what that's all about?
That's the county's portion of the high deductible.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like I said, there was more. We were able
Portion of
to,
the high deductible
take care of
health
it.
Health
plan,
plan.
that $25,218 as part of the transfer. And this has been adjusted for the 2024 budget going forward
Yes.
then? Okay. All right, so there's a request to transfer the total amount of $44,931 from bridge repair supply, and that breaks down as follows. Bridge crew to $4,803, overtime $6,978, workers' compensation $4,992, HSA county contribution $2,940, and high deductible health plan $25,218.
Troy Sprinkle make the motion to approve that transfer.
Brian Copel, second.
And Brian, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. And we're done with the additionals and the transfers. We're going to move on to a request from the commissioners, salary ordinance amendment, commissioners' request for a one-time stipend for county highway employee. I was looking for a commissioner.
I think Don might be joining me up here. So as you all know, we lost our county engineer at the end of last year. We had an employee from that department step up in a big way, far outside of her scope of experience and knowledge base, to get trained in being our ERC, which helps run our LPA process. We were at risk of losing a number of LPA jobs, which could have cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this employee stepped up and managed that process, learned it, and kept us in compliance. That salary had been funded for $115,000 this year. We haven't paid any of it until we just hired our new engineer at the end of August. And that salary starts at 105 this year as opposed to the 115 previously. And so we're asking, because of the extenuating circumstances on how this employee saved us so much money and kept us in compliance, that we would give back $5,000 of that as a one-time bonus to this employee for making sure we didn't lose our grants and for bailing us out, essentially. Dawn, you have anything you want to add to that?
So explain the certification a little bit.
I wasn't familiar with employee in responsible charge. Is that I mean, did she have to take courses to attain that certification, or was that I mean,
Yeah,
how did
it's
you?
an NDOT required process. It's free, NDOT hosts it, but somebody has to be in charge of that. And so as far as NDOT's concerned, they are the employee who's over all of our grants for our bridges.
Okay. And was that a one-time class? I mean, like a one-day course, or?
Yeah, you can knock it out in a day or two. It's online, and then she'll have
It's
to
okay.
keep that up every
So there was
year.
no travel or anything included? Okay.
Josh, does she help prepare the SOPs?
I didn't hear.
Does she help with the SOPs? Did she prepare the SOPs?
Yes, she worked, actually, I don't know who with, but yes, she essentially made sure we got in compliance with the SOP with NDOT.
Did that require overtime, or was this done on regular, normal business hours?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I'll put it in terms that I understand.
Tip the mic, Don.
All right. I guess the way you look at it, there was a lot of dirty dishes left in the rack, and they had to be cleaned up. And she did it. She had to take courses to do it. Dealing with NDOT's a hoot, and she was able to pull it off effectively. Not only that, but she learned enough that when we got our new fellow, who hasn't been in, when we got Justin Snick, he's been in private, and NDOT's, they play a game that's kind of unusual. It's very, I mean, that dollar gets looked over a lot, but you have to have kind of a specific understanding of how they play the game, how they wash their dishes. So she learned that, she did it, and actually I think Grant was one of the first people that came to us and said, she's really been very, very helpful. She's done a really terrific job, stepped up, and I don't want to let that be passed. I don't want to belabor this, but I will say that a few years ago, I thought I had a program where employees could make suggestions on things that might save the county, and then there'd be a review committee, and then that person would get a certain amount of money, 10% I think was the number, of the savings, which I thought was a sensible thing to do. I don't know where that is. I might bring it back and look for it and maybe start that as a program for the county, that when people do things that save the county money, and she certainly did, that we give them their due reward. It's just a fair thing to do. So that's how we came to make this request.
If she hadn't have assumed this role, what would Plan B have been?
Run up a flag, I guess. Say, we could have probably worked out something with NDOT, but she stepped in when, I suppose we could have contracted it with somebody, maybe part-time, whatever. I don't know the solution, but the solution was right in front of us.
What kind of time frame did we have to get somebody in that spot or with that
Well,
certification?
we were behind when we started. I don't know how you'd say the time frame as far as when we had the resignation, we knew we were in a little bit of the deep water that we needed to get out of. And she stepped in there and did the job.
And to your question about how long to get somebody in that spot, we just got somebody in that spot. I mean, we've been looking actively for
Well, I mean, at the time when evidently we were delinquent with having that,
We were down
with
to
the
weeks.
state. Okay, that's my question. Will she assume this role, or will the new engineer?
I've encouraged, they'll work it out amongst themselves, but she's learned a lot. I've encouraged Justin to let her do as much of the bookkeeping side of it and the online side of it as she's still comfortable with. But I think it's best if we have multiple people that continue to stay engaged with that process.
And she's not done that through the job study, right, Doree? This,
Right, she's gone above and beyond her job description.
right.
Financially, obviously, you didn't have to pay the engineer.
Correct. It just sets a precedent that I'm a little nervous about that. I know there's a lot of county employees that go above and beyond their duties, their regular duties. And, I mean, I'm looking at Deb here because Deb goes above and beyond her duties quite often for me and others. And it's a large sum to hand out as a bonus. And so that just concerned me a little, that I don't want it to appear that we don't appreciate what others have done as well. And I don't want them to be overlooked.
I don't think you show that it's not a lack of appreciation. Oops, here it comes again. I think what we're really seeing here is kind of a one-time occurrence, I hope. I don't think this is going to be a practice that we're going to run into, but we had a situation on our hands that we were in dire need, and we had nothing to, we had to get it done. And she could have done it and didn't ask for anything. She just stepped in and did it.
And I don't think I have an issue with rewarding, and maybe that being some, I know we've created a line item in your budget in which you can do things for employees as well. I mean, not to that sum, I don't think you even have that much in it. But, I mean, I'm not saying something couldn't have been done, but I don't know if it's to the tune of $5,000. I mean, that's just me. Any other?
I agree with you, Kim. I totally appreciate, and I'm glad that she stepped up and did that. Obviously, it helped the county enormously. But I do think it's a slippery slope. I think there's a lot of county employees that do that. I can think of some departments that have a lot of turnover, that people have come in and really cleaned things up. And so to identify just one person, I do think it would set a precedent, and I don't think the council should do that. But I do think she should be rewarded, and if the commissioners have a line item, either a gift certificate to her favorite
I don't know
restaurant
we
for
have a line
$500,
item.
whatever, but I just.
We have an employee appreciation line item, but no matter what, you all have to modify the salary ordinance for it to be and pay. And that appreciation is,
Even if it's a gift card in your, I mean, sure.
I'm very upset that you're even discussing this. This lady saved the county money to the tune of 6 to 7 figures. Do you not realize NDOT was going to pull out all those contracts, and the county would have been holding the bag for hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, all because we had an employee, a professional employee, who was not being honest with the county and had put us in a position that we did not realize. Lisa stepped up, did the job with no one saying to her, you're going to be rewarded. She wasn't in any expectation of being rewarded, but she did it, and she worked her butt off to get this county out of a mess that Tony Hinkle left us. And you don't appreciate the fact that she was saving us in the tunes of millions of dollars on these contracts, because NDOT was going to cut the funding, and we were going to be holding the bag to pay it 100% rather than the 20% that we would have been. I can't believe that you would question this, because this is just, I mean, she went way above her need. I mean, she didn't have to do anything. She could have just sat there and just done nothing.
But here's the
Done
thing,
nothing.
here's the thing, Dan, and I appreciate your passion, And I completely agree with it. But there are so many things that happen in this county that we are not made aware of the small minutia, the small details that we don't understand. And I do see some other county highway employees back there who have stepped up to the plate, and I'm really proud of what they've done since Grant has been gone. And so we don't know how much money she saved us until you, right now, at least I didn't, and maybe someone else was aware of it. We don't know how
Yeah,
in trouble we really
We were
were.
talking 7 figures.
Oh, yeah, right.
We were talking 7 figures, folks.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Any other questions or comments?
Look, my personal opinion is that we need to show people we care about them and that we appreciate what they're doing. I think she did save our hides, right? I mean, I think we need to do something. And again, Kim, I understand what you're concerned about, setting the precedents. I completely get that, right? I do. And there are a lot of people in this county that go above and beyond. But, if she got some accreditation or got some training and she saved us, and I think, I think we need to consider something.
I just want to say that I am getting compensated. She was unable because
Job description.
the job description, otherwise she would have got way more than.
So you have been compensated for the extra work?
You're compensated because you are the interim superintendent.
Okay,
You're
I
being
see.
paid the superintendent's
Got it.
wages as the interim superintendent. She did not have the skill set to be the engineer. She can't take that $115,000 salary. So that's kind of
So I was
two
just,
different things.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. And I appreciate that because you guys, you know what? You've been through a lot over the last few years.
You have.
Right?
And
What is in the commissioner's line item that would cover this? You're saying currently there's,
Do you want to?
we'll get that information.
Doree, do you want to say anything? It's for employee appreciation, to recognize.
Thanks for working here 20 years, here's a mug. Or we did the wellness program and you have done it now 5 years in a row. Here's a sweater. I don't know. That is what that line is for. That line was not intended to be for this purpose.
And if you end up doing it, and I think we've articulated, and Dan articulated well, why we should pay for it out of the dedicated fund that's for the highway department.
To Charlie's point, he was compensated for stepping up as interim, and she was acting as interim, but couldn't be paid for it because of the certifications.
Well, the degree to be an engineer, I mean, you can't.
So she got one certification online class, and then
Technically two. There's an ERC for bridges and bridge inventory.
ERC for bridges.
Yeah, projects generally in bridge inventory.
Did somebody help her do her normal daily tasks while she did this?
She continued to do all of her normal stuff.
And I don't know if any of you are aware, but the other clerical staff member, at the time this was happening, she left also. So Lisa was left holding the bag. And she did not have to do this.
Right. If she had stepped down.
Yeah.
Us. I understand the slippery slope. I just feel like we need to do something more than a gift card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, the slippery slope is a part, because yes, she saved us 6 or 7 figures. Well, if this department head over here comes back next month and says, so-and-so saved us 10,000, you need to give them so much money. And where's that line? And I think that's what our problem, not that we don't think she deserves this. That is not the problem at all. It's, where does it stop?
It stops right here at this council, and we make that decision. And if a woman saved us $1 million, or I don't know, $500,000, I mean, I don't know.
I see it more as compensating her in a way that we compensated Charlie but we couldn't compensate her that way.
No, we can't give her $115,000 a year.
No. I mean, this is five, This is five, she's having, they're asking for five.
See that.
And Jason, to your point, I'll paraphrase the quote, but there was a Supreme Court justice that said, "When I see it, I know it." And that's what you guys do.
That's the line.
How was 5,000 arrived at?
That's a great question.
Thanks for your honesty, Josh.
Interesting.
One.
It is, for
Well,
the
and-
sake of
And
time.
part of me does also want to ask, I mean, is 5,000 going to put her in a tax situation? Because I don't know where she's at
That's a good.
tax
that's a good
bracket wise. I would hate to give her 5,000 and it costs her more
Bonus.
bonus because of,
We did discuss this in the auditor's office, and we are willing to do just a special payroll, so it doesn't go in, with her regular pay and throw her,
Lump it.
to where she loses half of it.
okay.
But it could be on the total annual earnings.
But
But
that'd be your
maybe we
marginal
shouldn't
rate.
even be considering that.
Well, it's a request, and it needs a motion, if anyone wants to make the motion.
Motion for the $5,000.
Second it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
I'm a no.
I'm a no. So we have,
5-2.
okay, motion passes 5-2.
We know that was a hard vote. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to that young lady. Thank you to her efforts. And
Okay.
and to yours. Thank you for stepping up. You're doing an amazing
I
job.
appreciate all that you've had to do. Job Maintenance Committee.
Up here. We're going to go at you now.
We can't go a whole year and have unanimous votes,
Oh,
right?
you can't.
I just want to say thank you. I think that it's very well deserved. So let's talk about the Job Maintenance Committee. We met tonight, and as you remember during our budget workshop, we had a lot of things that we talked about. There will still be several more that I bring to you. They're just not through the WIS study yet. The first one is the maintenance technician assistant. Did you guys find the summary sheet that I put on?
Oh, I think
I have
that's,
so many papers.
yeah, it's.
I'm
in-
sorry. If someone needs mine, they can have it.
Job maintenance?
Job Maintenance Committee.
It's in the bottom of the other
Yeah,
packet that
I
you got.
put it there first, I think.
You need to start making your copies pink or something.
Oh, I can do that.
Color coded.
Challenge accepted. Okay, the maintenance technician assistant, this is a position that will be doing it's not a new position in the fact that we're not adding a position to that department. This is a current custodian who's going to be switching to the maintenance technician assistant position. They will be doing inventory and ordering and a few other things like this. It was approved by the Job Maintenance Committee last year after budget time, and you asked them to bring it back this time. So they're bringing it back to you. They are still listed in that same WIS category, the pay band. It's still in the same one. However, WIS recommends that you add $1 an hour for the extra added duties. So this person will still be doing some of their regular custodial duties, but they'll also be doing some of the other technician duties.
Okay. Do you want us to go through these one by one?
I think that'd be best, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
All right, so we'll start, were you finished explaining that? I'm sorry.
I'm finished with
Okay,
that.
on
If
that one.
anybody has any questions.
All right. So the request is to increase that classification by $1 more on the hour for the additional duties.
Doree, was that in the budget request?
It should have been. Yes, it should have been.
Okay.
Was it?
Do it. Ha. It should have been.
She
Will you
said
check
it
to make
was.
sure? Put that on your list to check on, Linda, if you would.
She meaning who?
The maintenance director?
Michelle.
I mean, all these requests should be in the budget, or else I don't want to
They-
approve them until they are.
As far as I know, they are.
So I guess
But you'll
you can make a
confirm for us.
caveat at the end. If none of these are in.
Linda will
anyway.
confirm
Okay.
that for us. So, any questions? If not, I look for a motion.
I'll move to accept that.
Thank you, Jason. Kim Meredith will second. So we have a motion and a second for the recommended $1 more per hour for the custodian for additional duties. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
The next one is a chief deputy for the surveyor. This is also not adding another position to the office. This is taking the current office administrator position and making that into the chief deputy position. And the main difference is that they can make decisions when the surveyor is not there. So typically, our chief deputy positions are 75% of the director or department head's salary, or the elected official's salary. I guess that's the only one that has a chief deputy. So this position would change to be salaried exempt, and it would be politically appointed by the surveyor. So the numbers that I have used are from this year, since the budget is not
And
approved yet.
I know that one was adjusted in
is-
there.
yes.
24, yes,
And that is also in the Indiana code that he's allowed to have that chief deputy.
correct. So we need any questions or comments on that
I'll
one?
make a motion to approve that job classification.
Melissa?
We have Chip with a motion, and was that Troy with the second? Troy, second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0.
Okay, next is the VSO administrative assistant. This is a position that they are asking for so that they can have someone to answer the phones and do secretarial, clerical type work. This is not something that they are wanting to get a lot of the certifications that the VSO or the deputy director has. I believe this is in their budget also, and this would be an hourly non-exempt position, and it would be at the regular clerical rate.
And again, that was discussed at budget time. And I think any of these, we need to state in the motion that it's contingent upon approval of our budget.
I would make a motion that we approve this position contingent upon the budget being approved.
Jason Maxwell seconds.
We have a motion by Brian and a second by Jason. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Board of Health?
Okay, I have the Board of Health School Liaison Nurse. This is a current position that we have. It's currently part-time. We had 2 nurses that were doing this. They have currently one of our nurses is actually doing this information and doing these job duties on top of her job duties because we don't have somebody in this position right now. She has asked to we're going to post it as a part-time position or a full-time position. Part-time, she knows there definitely will be enough to do. Full-time, she will do this plus add a few of the things that they do. Are doing more presentations and that type of thing. This is 100% paid out of a current grant that they have, and they think they'll have money for 2 to 3 years more for this. And once we accepted the money for the grant, this became a state mandated position, so this is something that we have to do. I did ask her if we would be able to use the new monies that are coming out for this, and she thought probably, she wasn't sure though, because they haven't got all of the regulations and rules for that money handed out yet. But this is at the regular rate. So we have money in this grant that's just not being used right now, and this is a position we have to have. And we did want to do it part-time and full-time just to see what we get, because in the past, whenever we have put our ads out there for nurses, we don't get very many applicants because we just don't pay as much as a hospital or doctor's office.
All right.
So she was just waiting.
Doree, so did you say that there were 2 people in this position?
There were 2 part-time people that shared, and
And neither one are
Neither
working
one.
for us?
correct.
And so we have a job opening for one, and you're going to say part or full-time?
Correct.
And then just see what kind of interest you get in applications, and then go from there. So if it's someone that says, I prefer part-time, then will you look for a second part-time person?
I don't think so. The reason that I say that is the reason she's hoping she gets part-time is because right now they don't really have the space for a full-time person because they do have another part-time that's not through this grant, it's through a different thing. But they just don't really have the space. So she's hoping that someone that works maybe 3 days a week at a hospital or something might be interested.
Oh, yeah, pick
in-
up. Yeah, nurses do
doing
that
this.
all the time.
Yes, and be on
So-
their kid's schedule and all that good stuff.
So it's paid out of a grant. In a few years, it's going to be state mandated, right? Is that what you just
It's
said?
state mandated right now because we accepted the grant.
Oh, I see. Okay,
We have to do it.
okay. Then I make the motion to reclassify the current school liaison nurse and update the responsibilities as noted here.
Vicky Kivett will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, this is the very last one, which you did not have in your packet.
Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
all right.
I'm trying to keep you guys moving now. Sorry. I put it there, obviously, you guys probably didn't have enough time to read it because you're looking, so I just want to tell you, and if you are not okay with this right now, that's fine, but the Job Maintenance Committee approved it, and I'd rather table it till next time instead of saying no. So this is an extension office. Serena Sheldon brought this to me, and they had an employee that had been in that position as part-time for a really long time, and she is no longer able to do that. And so when they hire a new person, they're wanting to add technology skills. And so that's what they added to the job description, was to have someone that has technology skills that would be able to help them with their website and everything. It doesn't change the rate of pay or anything like that. It's just an update to the job duties.
Okay.
Absolutely. I make the motion to approve.
Melissa Green will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you very
It
much.
was-
I just had one little update.
Troy and Melissa.
Last time I brought to you a job description that we were waiting for the commissioners to approve. I don't know if you remember. But anyway, they approved it, so we're all good. Just wanted to let you know.
Good, okay. I don't know.
There was a job description that they were waiting for the
Sounds
commissioners to approve, and it's been approved.
Not really.
Which one was it?
Okay.
Oh, wait, it goes to me.
Here, just a minute. Okay, we're going to get a little crazy here because we're going to have to go into some public hearings of these other budgets. So as you may recall, we'll need to kind of adjourn from our current meeting to open for the hearings and then kind of go back and forth. Recess, that's right.
Vicky
not
Kivett
adjourn.
makes a motion
Recess.
that we recess this meeting.
Kim Meredith will second. All those in favor? Signify- Aye. And we need a motion to move into the public hearing, and the first one up is the Harrison Township Fire District. Do we have someone here representing Harrison Township this evening? Thank you. I look for a motion to move into the public hearing for the Harrison Township Fire District.
So moved.
Jason Maxwell?
Second.
Troy Sprinkle, second. All those in favor? Aye. Hello.
Hello, I'm Brooke Chalet with Reedy Financial Group. We represent Harrison Township. I have Dawn
Hello, John.
and Chief Funkels are here with us tonight. We decided to come in front of you guys because the only change to the budget this year outside of the 4% growth quotient that we did was we are looking to get a 3-year growth appeal for Harrison Township District. It is very small and minimal. It's right around $5,000 this year. This is to help fund the fire contract with Bargersville to provide fire service in that area. I can get into more detail, but I figured that's the basis of it. So the total budget is $170,100 with the adopted tax levy of $77,159.
Okay. All right. And everyone has their packet for Harrison there.
Correct.
They're under their levy.
I'm gonna talk her, so I can talk to my
That's all we've ever acted on.
estimated 2024 maximum levy is 65,571. So you're still under your max levy.
Yeah, so we advertise high, of course, as you guys are familiar with that process, and then the LGF will back off of that number, but you have to advertise high just to be safe.
Okay.
The only change in that levy, like I said, outside of the state growth quotient, is the 3-year growth appeal.
It's not this part. As long as they're under the levy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Chief at Barkersville?
I am, yes.
And what was your name again?
My name's Eric Funkhauser.
Really phonetic, isn't it?
We wanna
Like
get it right.
crazy funk, Hauser? Okay. It's not our first rodeo.
Did anyone have questions in regard to Harrison Township's budget? Here's what it looks like. We got two of them. We got one for Harrison. Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you. And were there any public questions in regard to the Harrison Township budget for 2024? Look for any public comment or questions. Hearing none. Look for a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Brian. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Maxwell seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. We will recess or adjourn from that one. We'll adjourn from the public hearing of the Harrison Township Fire District. Look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Brian Culp,
Go second.
seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are now adjourned from the public hearing of the Harrison Township Fire District. I now need a motion to open the hearing for the public hearing for the Monroe Township Fire District.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Troy.
Vicky Kivett, second.
And Vicky Kivett will second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And do we have someone here from the Monroe Township Fire District? We got the chief.
Chief.
Good evening,
Hello.
Hello.
We enjoyed your festival this last weekend. Very
Yes.
nice.
Thank you. It was a lot of work. You guys are still recovering from it.
Was it, how has it compared to previous years? I heard it was really good.
It was, so it's back to pre-COVID,
Congratulations.
so
Glad to hear it.
finally.
Good festival.
Yes, I am. We haven't seen that many vendors or that many people since, before COVID, so.
Yeah,
We're finally
it-
back to where it used to be.
it's good.
So our budget's basically the same as it's been in the past. However, I'm going to tell you, it's not enough. I mean, our district is growing, we're blowing up. I mean, our budget's 321,200, but just to give you guys a little bit of numbers, we're at 416 runs so far for this year. This time last year, we were at 347. So we're up 69 runs, or about 17%. So we're doing more with the same amount of dollars. This is not going to last long that we're going to be able to maintain this. We're adding about 200 to 250 homes a year out there, which is about 800 to 1,000 population growth. We're behind the 8 ball in Monroe Township. The warehouses are getting ready to start, but we can only do so much. We're still volunteer every night from 5 to 10. There's many nights from 5 to 10, they get me as the chief, and people look and go, where's the fire truck? Well, guys are with their kids at football games or whatever. I don't have paid staffing from 5 to 10. So something's got to change at some point out there. So we've got to figure out a way to increase this budget. And we're still paying guys $14 an hour. You can go make more than that at McDonald's.
I understand. So,
She had some errors. I contacted her and let her know that there were errors.
hang on just a minute, I'm getting a little information.
Okay.
She did not correct them. She sent it back and told me it was ready. I ran the error prevention report the second time, still had errors. I sent an email back to her. She didn't respond. Our DLGF rep said she declined the budget workshop. So it was submitted as is. He may not be aware of it.
I think we, go ahead, go ahead.
Are you
I'm gonna let
aware?
Linda explain something.
Your published levy is 0 because the clerk that entered your budget request in Gateway made some errors.
Okay.
There were some incomplete areas. Our office, I have to submit the budget in Gateway, your publication. I sent an email back to her and told her when I ran the error prevention report that there were errors and asked her if she would like to correct them. Robert Norris from DLGF, he said she declined the budget workshops with him, which he could have helped her with all of those errors. She sent it back again and told me it was ready. I ran the error prevention report again, and there were still errors. And I sent an email back again. I said, do you want me to submit as is? I waited until 9 p.m. that evening and didn't hear from her, and I had to submit it.
Okay. I'm not aware of any of that, so.
So they're missing out on money because of an error.
Yes, they will.
In a budget workshop that could have been,
Yes, could have,
because those guys will walk them through that, correct, that process?
yeah, as a township trustee, you
Correct.
know how they walk you
Absolutely.
through that. And
I've been there and done that.
So it gets advertised at the 2023 rate?
they will just leave them at the 2023 levy.
What was the difference, Linda? Do you know?
I do not know what the
And
difference
there's
would
no
have
way
been.
to go back now and pick it up?
No, because of the, the publication had to be in Gateway before this meeting.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you may also even benefit, if you would do the 3-year growth levy appeal. So,
That clerk should be here tonight.
Right.
To the township, do you meet with, do you use any of the financial advisors on preparing these each year?
I believe we have somebody, yes.
and like I said, the DLGF rep can walk you through this step by step and make sure everything is in there.
And she declined that?
She declined, and he reached out to her multiple times. And I encouraged her.
And you didn't know that?
I mean, Dan and I even called her on
I
the
don't know
phone.
who it is, I'm sorry, so if I'm offending anyone, does she like show up? Like, do you have a relationship with that person?
Oh, yeah, she does an amazing job.
Yes. So that's why it's,
Yeah.
I hate to hear that, because, you are behind an 8 ball, and it sounds like you've just been put further behind the 8 ball.
Right.
And we're past the deadline, so there's,
We were past the deadline.
So what advice do we need to tell him as far as him finding out answers? Just get with DLGF?
Get involved in this process next year.
Okay.
We can give you the contact information for the DLGF rep. And you can attend that budget workshop also. You and the township clerk, you can both attend that workshop.
trustee.
This is a fire district.
Yeah,
so
we don't have a
it's
trustee.
outside of-
That's right, It's different.
We
Well,
just
no,
have a
it wouldn't be the
district
town
court.
clerk. The fire
your
district
own.
has their
Fire
own,
department
which she said she's part-time.
She is.
And she said she's not had any training. And that's why she really needs to do that workshop.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they offer the training.
So I think it means it'll revert back to your 2023 numbers. You'll be working with your 2023, even though you may have presented different numbers for 2024 because it wasn't completed and there were errors, it will revert back to you receiving the funds that you received in 2023.
Which I believe is the same dollar amount that we submitted in the budget.
Okay, then you may become okay, but you might touch base with her because you don't want to ding on your record that you're not.
Right, and it sounds like we're leaving money on the table, which we could obviously use.
Right. We know how bad you need
Right.
it.
And I would check into that growth quotient because you guys meet that criteria. You are growing by leaps and bounds there, so.
Well, and we did that 2 years ago,
Oh, did you? And I think you,
and we got it.
And I think you can't
It's every
you
three.
do it each year?
It's every three.
Statute for the situation where the population growth. That's the one that they did, and it didn't get quite a bit of money, or as much as it could from that. But there's also the levy appeal based on the increase in the net assessed value that you're eligible for, and you would have been eligible for it this year. I'm sure you'll be eligible for it next year.
You can't, you
It just-
can't go up there
It's
and meet
very,
with him.
very, very important that you have good communications.
Didn't you and her go up there?
With the LGF, because that's not gonna cost you anything. That's free assistance. And they will walk you right through the process, but you can't turn down your offers
Okay.
for assistance.
You're familiar with DLGF?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
okay, so I think our process is still the same in which we approve or not approve the current budget presented to us. So hearing no other questions, I look for a motion to approve or not approve.
Chip Keller will make a motion to approve their budget.
Melissa Green will second.
We have a motion by Chip and Melissa. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Council.
Sorry for the bad news.
Linda, how quickly can they get involved? I mean, can he go ahead and get with them tomorrow and start the process about, look, we need to get the training we need and we need to get going, and
But it won't help on this one. I
it
just-
won't help on this one, but
Going forward.
she, if she'll contact, what was that guy's name?
Robert Norris.
Robert Norris.
Sorry.
Well, there's emails back and forth, so she knows how.
I look for a motion to adjourn from the Monroe Township Fire District budget hearing, public hearing.
Make that motion.
And we have a motion,
And I'll second it.
and Troy seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And we're going to move into the Morgan County 2024 budget public hearing. I look for a motion to open the public hearing for Morgan County for the 2024 public.
But makes that motion?
Have a motion, and Chip Keller seconds. Vicky, it was Vicky and Chip. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And,
If you want to pass these down, some of them were missing page.
okay. These
Thank you.
documents, yeah,
That's my page one. Thank you.
And everybody got a page 2? I think Linda
Yes.
handed those out.
I hate it when these fire departments get zinged.
Look down here.
Think so, do we?
You have it.
Do we have to read these line by line, or can we just do the total?
On record.
Where do I have that? Let me borrow yours.
My only question is, I guess the first one is, do we need to talk about moving these jail expenses between the general fund and the public safety before we approve the final?
No. Well, this is the public hearing for what's published, so that's later on the agenda to go ahead and make that shift. And we'll make that shift and come back for the budget adoption October 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the estimated budget that's been presented appears to be, is that the right number? $78,954,775. Any comments from the public in regard to the Morgan County budget? Appears we have none. Hearing none, I look for a motion. For the Morgan County, the public hearing, do we have any comments? That's right. What am I thinking? I'm sorry. I apologize, Chip.
We're just going to close it.
Yes, I look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Vicki Kivett makes that motion to close.
Troy
Hearing-
Sprinkle, second.
Troy Sprinkle, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries for the adjournment of the public hearing of the Morgan County budget. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to what you were mentioning, Chip. And I think, Dan, were you going to present something here, or? Okay. And this is on the recommended shift of jail expenses from the general fund to the lit public safety in the, oh, yes, I knew. We do need to reconvene our regular meeting.
Make the motion to reconvene.
I'll second.
And Chip Keller will second. That was Troy and Chip. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll do that one more time tonight. All right, Dan.
Well, after the budget workshops, in which the budgets that were developed during that time are the budgets that are in the published budgets that you were reviewing and tonight at the public hearing, Reedy and I both agreed that the Lit Public Safety Fund ended up with a bit more of a cash balance or an estimated cash balance for the end of 2024 than really necessary, more than it was necessary. Because after that, the Lit Public Safety Fund estimated budget, its estimated cash balance at the end of 2024 is $2,187,021, and that's really more than needed or necessary. So you have the opportunity, if you want to, that you can move some more of the jail budget from the general fund to the Lit Public Safety Fund. And so I took a look at the line items and what could be moved and I came up with that you can move from the jail budget in the general fund, you could move $1,285,542, and that would change the jail budget, decrease it from the $4,446,673 down to $3,204,163, and would decrease the general fund total budget from $30,077,286 to $28,834,776. And then the transfer to the Lit Public Safety wouldn't be exactly an equal amount because in the general fund jail budget, it doesn't include PERF or FICA in that budget, nor does it include the employer's share of the health insurance. So the amount that would go into the public safety fund is going to be a little more than the decrease than the general fund, but the jail budget in the Lit Public Safety Fund would increase from $2,280,682 to $3,566,224. So if you want to see what that looks like, financial picture for the cash balance, you should find a worksheet with just the general fund and the Lit Public Safety Fund in your mountain of paperwork there. If you see that, you'll see that the general fund estimated cash balance changes now to $14,406,854, whereas before the change, it was $13,164,344. So it increases a little, and then the Lit Public Safety cash balance would change from the $2,187,000 would go down to $901,479, which is still a healthy balance for that fund. That in that fund, the Lit Public Safety Fund, because it's a local income tax fund, it gets revenue every month. So there's no need to have a balance that will cover you for an extended period of time. And so that's a change that Reedy and I both agree that would be a good change to make. That just gives the general fund a little more relief.
Questions for Dan on that recommendation?
No, I understand. I agree with the recommendation. I'm just confused because it doesn't tie to these reading reports.
That's what I was just thinking.
No, Reedy and I, our numbers aren't tying exactly.
Don't see eye to eye with reading.
Oh, yes, now I remember. Yeah, I don't do that. Reedy, when they're doing their projections for cash balances, they're projecting that there'll be a portion of the appropriation or the budget that will go unexpended, which it will. I don't do that. I give you like the worst case scenario. You might think that you could look at Reedy's as probably your the best case scenario for a good cash balance. Mine's your worst case scenario. I estimate that the budget will be 100% expended, which we know it won't, thank goodness. But also, when you're getting your budget approved by DLGF, they look at it the same way. They don't make any allowance for anticipated unexpended appropriations.
It's always worked for us that way.
Yeah,
and I don't think we want to
so
change that.
thank you, Linda. I was trying to remember why we differ.
I like the recommended shift because it makes the general fund a balanced budget for the current, or for next year.
Yeah, it gives.
It's still healthy.
Put on that this evening to do that, and then Linda and Dan can start to move to make those changes in our budget.
Yeah, if you do that tonight, which I would advise that you do if you agree with the change, you do that tonight, then we can make all the changes in the numbers so that the budget that's presented to you in the October meeting for adoption is the budget that you can adopt. Otherwise, we'll have to present to you a budget for adoption that's exactly the same as the published. Then at that night's meeting, you'd have to make a motion that you would reduce that down to the numbers. And it I think would be cleaner. And would be consistent with how the county council has always had. Because in the past, I think only maybe one time in my years did the budget change from the night of the public hearing, the published meeting, to the adoption meeting. And I could, and it seems like one year there was one that there was a change for some reason, but anyway.
We appreciate
Unless
your
you
work
have
with
other
both of you.
questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Dan? Okay, do we want to move on a motion for that?
Yeah, I think I'd make a motion to move the monies listed on the sheet here, the $1,285,542 from the general fund to the public safety.
Thank you, Chip.
Second that.
We have a
Sprinkle.
motion and a second by Troy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Will, let's see. The introduction of resolution number 2023-9-13. A resolution of the County Council of Morgan County, Indiana, making a preliminary determination to enter a lease agreement and authorizing the circulation of a taxpayer petition and ordering of appraisals. Do we need to? In a minute, we'll move into that.
I will give some background information
Thank you,
first.
Josh.
Tonight, Mr. Collier, who normally does these presentations, and Don, if you want to join me up here. Since he can't be here, I'm going to channel my inner Brian. I don't have a cat suit, but I've got as close as I can get.
Somebody, I gotta get a photo.
This is as close as I have.
All right, we got it. Got it.
Put that in the
We
newsletter.
gotta have a little fun.
By the governor. I think we need to know that.
All right. Well,
Does everyone have a copy of that resolution? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're
cat
good.
picture.
You're good. So what I'll intro is really not for your benefit because you all are up to speed. It's really more for the public's sake. This was coined almost 2 years ago now, the work in progress. We've started that. We've all experienced the work. We've been inconvenienced by the work. We're excited about the work, but it's happening. You can see it outside. And in 2025, we will have an empty courthouse that we need to continue our work in progress on. Just to highlight some things since I've been here, which has not been that many years, we've had broken sewer lines in the ceiling. We've had flooded offices. We continue to have humidity issues where it's hot, it rains from the ceilings. We've got a failing elevator that we hope will make it through the opening of this building. Our mechanical systems are at the point that they needed replaced long ago. We continue to have poor circulation. We have unsafe stairwells. It's just a building that needs to be redone. And so that's what we're here to kick off tonight. And so in a moment, we'll enter into our public hearing, and we have our attorney and our financial consultant here to assist us. That's Zach Klutz from Taft and Jason Semler from Baker Tilly. We won't take any action tonight. This is the first public hearing of 2 on the finding of preliminary determination that we need to continue to move forward. The commissioners have already approved that they see need, and that's what kicked it off to you all. And so you all have that before you. Jason has the financials. He's going to run through you within a minute. I think before he goes, Zach's going to give you an update on the legal side. Now that we've done this once, twice, I think we're starting to get a hang of the process here. Once you all approve the preliminary determination at the next meeting, your action won't be required again until November when we continue through the process. In a minute, after we open it, I'll have them come up here. If you guys have questions for Don or myself, we'll be happy to step back up, but we'll turn the floor over to them otherwise.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Anything you want to add, Dan?
Hello, Zach.
Good evening, Council. Zach Klutz with Taft. It's good to see everyone again, and Mr. Culp, nice to meet you. I don't have much more to add. Josh really hit it. So this is the next phase. This project would this financing would fund the courthouse renovations. It will be similar, if not identical, to the process we went through for the judicial complex. We will utilize a building corp for the financing, and so the financing will be through lease rental bonds. Because the bonds will be paid, or the lease rentals will be paid using property taxes, we do have a couple preliminary steps, and tonight is the first one. This is a preliminary determination hearing in which we need to present certain financial information at a public hearing, which Jason Semler will do here in a moment. As Josh said, there's no action for this council to take this evening, other than introduce Resolution 2023-913. What this resolution does is a determination by this council that you find a need for the project and that you are making a preliminary determination to move forward with entering into the lease rental financing. That is simply a preliminary determination. Once that preliminary determination is done, we will pause, let 30 days lapse, and then come before you again with a bond ordinance and approving the bonds and the lease. That would occur sometime in November. We'll then pause with this body, pivot towards the commissioners and the building corp, and likely close sometime in January or February. When I say close, meaning sell the bonds, get the bond proceeds so that the project can begin. I'll pause there for questions. What I anticipate is Jason coming up. We do have certain financial information that is available to the public and that he will walk through. We will conduct the public hearing, and I'm happy to come back up and address comments that were received or questions that you may have. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this the point at which we recess the regular meeting and move into the public hearing? Or? And then do that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, members of the council. Jason Semler, Baker Tilly. In front of you, you have a report that we prepared kind of outlining the preliminary costs of the schedule. It's a report, looks like this, with today's date on it. I'll just kind of go through that real quickly.
If I can find it. I know, I've got so much, he gave it to me, but we've got a lot of paper.
As I apologize, I put it in front, gave it to you early thinking that would be helpful, but if you turn to page 2, the estimated costs of the facility that Josh went over and the items that he mentioned, we're looking at $23.2 million. We are looking at issuing the bonds, as Zach said, early next year, but we're not planning on having any debt service levy or new property tax rate in place for next year. So next year, the interest that will be due will be paid from bond proceeds. So that's what that capitalized interest is amount. So there'll be money set aside in a separate account to pay interest during 2024. And we're estimating the first payment that you'd be responsible for with a new levy wouldn't start till 2025. So that's something in next year's budget we'll want to make sure that we have in place for 2025. Again, we have an allowance for an underwriter's discount. This is a kind of a placement fee that if we do go through a competitive bid, we've done that. We've kind of gone through a competitive bid. We placed it with a bank. We've talked about maybe going to the Indiana Bond Bank this time because they've kind of loosened some of the requirements through that program, which has made it more competitive. And so we're going to evaluate that at the time when we're at that place, probably January, February, to see if that's the avenue that's best for the county. We'll look at all the options just like we have in the past. And then again, we've put an amount for cost of issuance. So you're looking at a total preliminary cost of about $24,685,000. Now, as Zach said, in the next couple of meetings, we'll come in front of you with the bond parameters. If you remember that, you're going to approve kind of not to exceed amounts. We're estimating that about $26 million, that not to exceed amount. So when you see that and you see why is it different than this number here, that's the reason why. Just in case project scope might change a little bit. The other real reason is we'll show here that capitalized interest. If interest rates were to increase, that number also increases. So we just want to cover all of our bases. That worst case scenario, you've approved enough that we can go forward with the project and not have to come back and start the whole process over again. Page 3, again, very similar to what we've done in the past, is looking at paying this over a 20-year period. You can see the interest rates there. We're assuming a range from 3.95% to 4.75%.
Say that again.
Bonds we did. This seems lower than what.
It was, I think, like 4.95% or 5%. Yeah.
You said 3.95 to what?
4.75%. Yeah. And the documents, again, that you'll see in the future, we have an allowance of the 7%, not to exceed 7%. So these are, have a little bit of cushion in them right now. Current rates are about 4.2, 4.3%. And again, so this ranges from 3.95 to 4.75. On average, probably about 4.4%. If you look at the average of this 20 years. So if you look at the far right, again, for next year's budget, if you go forward with this project and this financing, again, in 2024, you see that 0 there. We're not anticipating any payment to be made out of a new levy in 2024. Again, that's going to be paid from POM proceeds. But starting in 2025, you can see the annual payment's going to be approximately about $1,925,000 a year. Again, for that not to exceed amount, you'll see that the annual lease would be not to exceed $2.5 million. Again, that would be enough if interest rates did, skyrocket to that 7% amount. That $2.5 million would cover it. But again, these are more what we're anticipating if we do go forward and sell bonds in that January, February timeframe. So page 4. This looks at the 2 bonds that we previously did, plus this bond issue to kind of see the overall impact. So again, in 2022, we issued a GO bonds. 2022, we issued the second phase of this project. Those payments are around $2.5 million. And then this phase here, again, about $1.9 million. So you can see your total annual payment there. Your estimated levy. So this is the amount that you would actually levy for. And then you can see your tax rate. And you can see 2 different tax rates there. In 2023, your actual tax rate on the first 2 bonds is about 10 cents, a little over 10 cents. And then when we first prepared these schedules and I presented information to Zach for the determination hearing, we had 2023 assessed values. 2024 were not out yet, weren't certified by the auditor's office yet. So I had used the 2023 assessed values. So you can see in 2024, the tax rate would be about 0.0895 is what would be needed to cover that annual payment. And then it hits about that 12 cents, 0.1276, and then drops off to low under 9 cents once the 2022 bonds drop off. Since then, the 2024 assessed values have been certified, and you had a nice increase. I think it's about 4 or 5% increase in your tax base. So because of that, now we'll need to have a smaller levy to generate that same amount of revenue. So that's what that column on the right is a more current estimate. So again, 2023 doesn't change. That's already in place, the 10 cents. But you can see in 2024, the rate's a little bit less now with the higher tax base, still over 8 cents. And then you're right around 12 cents in 2026. Hopefully, your trend of growth continues in the county, and your tax base continues to grow, and it won't be 12 cents, it'll be something less. But again, trying to be conservative, we kept your tax base flat. In the next schedule, page 5, we showed that going from that 10-cent tax rate that you are now in 2023 to that 12-cent tax rate that we're estimating in a couple years, that would be about a little less than a 2-cent tax rate increase. And then like we've done in previous bond issues, we showed what that 2-cent rate impact would have on a taxpayer based upon various assumptions. So for instance, a home with assessed value of $160,700, they would see about a $9.09 annual increase in their property taxes. A home that has an assessed value of $300,000 would see about a $22 increase in their annual property taxes. And then we also showed a commercial and farmland as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jason?
Well, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll need a motion to adjourn from our regular meeting and move into our public hearing on the preliminary determination resolution.
Vicki Kivett makes a motion, we adjourn.
or recess.
Or recess,
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. We have a motion to recess. Kim Meredith will second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we need a motion to move into the first public hearing on the preliminary determination resolution. We have Chip Keller made a motion. Do we have a second?
Troy Sprinkle, second.
Second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. We are now in the first public hearing on the preliminary determination on resolution 2023-9-13. Do we have any comments from the public? Any questions from the public? Going once? Appears we have none. So we'll make a motion to move from the public hearing.
Troy Sprinkle, make that motion.
Melissa Green will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Now we need a motion to move back into our regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Brian. Vicky Kivett, Jason.
And Jason seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. And we are at the point where do we have any other business that needs to come before the council this evening? Thank you all for being here. Our next meeting is, I always like to announce that, but I didn't look beforehand. Okay, October 2nd at 6:30. And that will be the budget adoption as well. Hearing nothing else, I look for a motion to adjourn.
Vicky Kivett makes a motion to adjourn.
Meredith will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting